Welcome to today's episode of Your Daily Scrum. We are professional Scrum trainers Ryan Ripley and Todd Miller, riding the struggle bus today.
Yes, sir.
Trying to get the brain fog knocked out. We'll see how we do. We do this show daily, regardless of our mental state or whether or not we're tired, to help all of you out there do Scrum a little bit better each and every day. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you know when we drop a new video. Lots of new content coming out. And that like and subscribe really helps us out too. Leave your comments below, ask your questions, and even recently disagree with us if you like.
I like it, yeah.
We love it. We love a good discussion. So
There's
hit
some
up those
great
comments.
debates happening in the comments. I like it.
Yeah. So keep that going. Certainly enjoy that. Today, let's kill that music and look at the question.
Mm-hmm.
Todd, how does a Scrum team stop doing hardening sprints?
Yeah, tell a little bit of a story about a time that I actually promoted the use of hardening sprints.
Yeah, let's check out the positive, and then I'll tear that up.
Yeah, so it didn't end positively. So the notion, this was very early on in my adventures with Scrum, and we came across this team I was working with. We came across this concept of hardening sprints and felt like we were struggling with quality. And felt like if every third sprint, we'd build in a hardening sprint and dedicate the time to catching up on testing and doing unit testing in that sprint, that we might have a positive effect on our quality. And what we found is the opposite. What happened was we would build for 2 or 3 sprints and then just be like, well, we'll put that in the hardening sprint. We'll put that in the hardening sprint. And what happened is, we just started basically, none of our increments were potentially releasable, right? And the cost of delaying things, right? And we just got really lazy and our quality became worse. And we found during a retrospective, just a few months into trying this, that we were just going to stop doing that hardening sprints were not worth it. That hardening sprints were actually building bad behaviors, and the opposite was true, that our quality was going down because we were using hardening sprints. And so I don't know if that story is helpful at all, but that was the only time that I had ever used them. And since then, I've been pretty hardcore against hardening sprints because there aren't any special sprints in Scrum, right? And I felt the effects of trying this one time.
Yeah, I've been down this path as well, and we very similar thing. Every few sprints, we'll stop, we'll fix bugs, we'll improve our architecture, we'll go through and harden the system, and it just led to what I noticed as a Scrum Master was that the devs just stopped worrying. The developers were like, "Yeah, we'll fix it then." So it just and I don't think they were bad people. I don't think you're doing anything wrong. I just think this practice has all the best intentions of the world, right? There's really great reasons on paper to do it, but then the behaviors turn into, well, this can wait for the hardening sprint. This can wait for the hardening sprint. And suddenly you're delivering suboptimal code. It's not even meeting a basic definition of done, right? And the hardening sprints are just a disaster. There's merge conflicts. There's all sorts of testing issues. There are all sorts of, and it turns out that hardening sprint wasn't long enough to do the full regression and end-to-end that we need. So that hardening sprint also gives us this false sense of security that we don't need to automate testing. We don't need to automate end-to-end. We've set all this time to do this. And it just led to things piling up and getting worse. And then the next sprints where we were supposed to be building things were more difficult because the tech debt was accumulating. And what started as an idea to help save the team ended up sinking it. And we almost had to, basically commit code base, bankruptcy, and just, parts of the system had to get scrapped and rewritten. And it just, I don't know, Todd, if you've seen that too, where just large chunks of code just become useless and we got to start again.
Yeah, what this is it promotes, to be quite honest with you, it promotes laziness and procrastination. It gives you an excuse to say, well, it's going to be, we've got this 80% of the way, the last 20% is the hardest to do, so we'll just switch to the hardening sprint.
Yeah.
Right. And then you get to the hardening sprint, and then business pressures come on you anyway, so you don't really spend the time that you really should have spent in the first place getting it right, to actually getting it right. So I don't know. It's just to reiterate, there are no special sprints in Scrum, right? This notion of a hardening sprint seems good, as you were mentioning, seems good on the surface. Yep. But we've both experienced how damaging it can be even in the short term. So be cautious.
You transition away from this by strengthening your definition of done. So all the things that you were doing in the hardening sprint, add those things to your definition of done, and then commit to making sure those things are complete by the end of a sprint, which means you're going to pull in less work, but that work during a sprint is actually going to hopefully meet a sprint goal, but also meet the quality standards that you've set in the definition of done. So how do you get away from this terrible practice? You enhance your definition of done. You commit to that level of quality. You openly discuss with your stakeholders in sprint review the changes you're making because the old ways aren't working. And then you go forward and execute, and you learn how to actually build quality into your product and stop trying to bake it in at the end.
Like it.
Technical excellence.
Speaking of liking.
Right? Yeah. Like and subscribe. Yep. Todd, you're getting it. That's the YouTube thing, right?
Yeah, what a plug in there. What a plug I put in there.
Todd's absolutely right. Like and subscribe. Check out the socials. We're pretty active on Twitter and LinkedIn. We're too old for Instagram and Facebook. But anyways, some videos are popping up. Check those out as well. Leave us some comments below. Ask your questions. We love turning your questions into videos. This was a question left last week, and it's now a video this week. Magic, right? So like and subscribe. Let us know in the comments how we're doing. Go forth and do some great things with your Scrum teams, and we'll see you tomorrow.